for something like the coronavirus, given the high percentage of the church and how much contact and closeness there is in a church. And now we have flattened the curve and purpose for staying at home, which was namely to prevent the overwhelming of the healthcare system. This wasn't not to kill the coronavirus. We know that it cannot happen that way. We just wanted to slow the spread. That's what we all wanted to do, and we did overwhelm our healthcare system, and that's been accomplished. We've reached the peak, and things are starting to go back to semi-normal finally. For us, we are finally ready to resume in-person church services, and we're extremely excited to gather together again. Hard to believe that it's already here. It's been so long before we've been able to gather in person, and with this in mind, there's going to be several changes and different things employed so that we can keep everyone safe and healthy during this. Every single resource that I have found available. I have Kentucky Baptist Convention. I have consulted resources by the Center for Disease Control. I've consulted resources from our director and other local church leaders. I've consulted resources from the governor's office, Governor Beshear's office. I have discussed these with each and every one of our deacons, John Burris, and Brother Larry Flood, and I've actually talked with many of you about what ideas you think would be good to implement. And so this is the result of gathering all of that together, which I'm going to bring before you here this afternoon. Unfortunately, we cannot go back to normal at 100% right now. But thankfully, go back to semi-normal. Coming back to in some degree is better than none at all. Beggars can't be choosers. We're just doing the best we can with what we've got. And so here's a few of the changes we've resolved to make for the good of everybody here, okay? I'm just going to go right. It's going to be a very short broadcast. I know we've got major connection issues this afternoon, so hopefully you can watch this video after it's. If you don't want to hang around and watch this video because of the skips, hey, I understand. It is really terrible, when it's glitching like this, but I wanted to let, we're going to be emailing this out to every church member. Teresa's going to be emailing that out. I want you to take a look at this. Is a 2-page church newsletter, Locust Grove Quarterly. We're going to be mailing it out. Teresa, is going to be mailing this out sometime here soon, maybe tomorrow or something. And on the back of it are these 11 different guidelines, 11 little reminders about what you can expect when we open the doors back up once again. And after I modify some personal things off of here, I'm going to post a book page. So again, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to be able to see all these guidelines, but I wanted to bring it to you by video as well. So here they are. Number one, and most important, and hopefully that this comes clear to you on your little screen, we will have only worship service, the 11 a.m. morning worship service. This is just what we have to do to reduce the amount of have with each other, and thus, when we do that, when we reduce the amount of contact, we reduce the risk as well. You love Sunday school, I realize that. And I love Sunday evening services and our Wednesday night prayer meetings, but for now, we felt like the risk too high. And I think that you all understand that. This is very reasonable. We're not keeping the doors closed. We're not standing at the door, they can't come in. We're going to bring as many people in as we can. I'm not really expecting too big of a crowd. There's still a lot of high-risk people that I expect will know for their own good, and some who still are not comfortable yet coming, and that's perfectly okay. But for right now, while all this is fresh, the only worship service and the only gathering we will have at Locust Grove is the 11 a.m. morning worship service. Now, what the Sunday school hour, the live stream, we'll talk about that here in just a moment. One service. Number two, all common places and surfaces will be cleaned and disinfected. You members and attendees and even guests and visitors can be assured Locust Grove is going to be a facility from top to bottom when we're ready to resume our services. Some have already been doing quite a bit of cleaning out here because we have some renovations and things taking place on the back of our building, so we've been kind of forced to do some cleaning anyway. But all the common areas that we touch, like the pews, door handles, all that kind of stuff, everything we can think of where it has any type of contact whatsoever will be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected before we ever open the doors, or we ever open them again, meaning we will clean them before and after that one Sunday services. Now, we need lots of people to help with this. It won't take probably but a few minutes after our Sunday morning worship gathering if we get all hands on deck. We got plenty of cleaning. We got people bringing cleaning supplies. I'm going to be providing some myself, some old-fashioned bacteria-killing Pine Sol. But we need people to help with this. If you are interested and you want to help with the cleanup crew before and after services, please let me know. We're trying to get assembled. Now, on that note, we do ask, this is something we were all in agreement on, me and the deacons and many other members, all attendees refrain from using the bathrooms except for just emergencies. Please refrain from using the bathroom if possible. We will take care of the cleanup in that regard. There will be, we'll tell you, people appointed to the bathrooms after each use. We'll probably have a man to clean the men's restroom and a woman to clean the room. And on that note, as far as bathroom usage, I know, for some of you, you just can't help it. That's okay, I understand. We will only be downstairs bathrooms. Obviously, over here to my left, you have to go up. Well, actually, no, that would bring you upstairs. We're going to ask that everybody go through this door to go downstairs to use the two bathrooms that we've got, two restrooms that we have on the bottom floor. About that here in just a moment. Actually, that's the next thing. All the doors will be, they will remain during the services. They'll be propped open during services. Now, here's mainly the reason for this. There's several reasons. Number one, we are going to prop the people are coming in so nobody has to touch the door handles. It would be a little bit silly, to keep the doors closed and have somebody constantly, clean every couple of seconds while people are filing in. It's far easier just to fling them open. It's not going to affect our AC system whatsoever. So we're going to keep the door open at all times. Now, another thing is, when you're coming in through the doors, there will be hand sanitizer stations available for you. As of right now, we've got plenty of hand sanitizer on hand. Thank you, Judy and Ron Schaffner, if y'all are watching, or if you watch anytime in the future. They bought a big old thing of Germ-X for us before all this went down, and I'm looking from where I'm standing, and it's been sitting there unused, so we have that ready to use. I also have a source. We have a source here who could provide much more hand sanitizer for us that's been graciously donated. I won't name that source. Personal reasons, I wouldn't want anybody beating the door down, at this source's place of residence, because of the shortage. But the doors will be open. Something else, the door going downstairs to the bathroom will be propped open as well so that you don't have to touch either. Now, we're not going to prop the bathroom doors open. Obviously, that's something we'll have to have somebody go down there and clean it after each use. And then one more thing on the doors. The doors out front will actually remain partially opened during our service. The main reason for that is for ventilation. It really doesn't help, to have all in here, talking and singing without some, ventilation, some of our air to let some of our lung fumes get out of the building. And so we're going to doors propped open just a little bit. All right, number 4. All the hymnals and Bibles will be removed from the pew. Now, some of you may not like this. This is certainly something I don't like to do. I'm more of a traditional guy. I like to, We try to provide these pew Bibles for visitors who are not able to bring some, but this is a very common sense thing to do, even though we kind of don't want to do it a little bit. If we were to keep all of them in the pews, we would have to, after the services, disinfect each and every single one. And I don't know of any disinfectant, on one hand, I don't know of any disinfectant that is safe to use on the hymnals and the Bibles that's not going to cause it to bit. In addition, why would we go through the trouble of cleaning each and every one when we can just take them out and store them for later usage? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take all the Bibles out of the pews, and we're going to take all the hymnals out, because we have a projector, right above my head here, and we can see the word together. We can be focused in on one spot, and any Bible verses that we need for the sermon will be shown on the projector as well. So, like I say, I know that we aren't going to like that break from tradition, but this is something we just kind of have to do. And another thing, those of us who are going to be cleaning up after the services, we have no way of knowing, which pew Bible was used. It's just best for everybody's safety to eliminate the amount of contact. As you know, this coronavirus can live for a very long time, I think about a week actually. So we're going to be removing those just temporarily. And again, these are temporary guidelines so we can resume things back at 100% normal. Number 5, there will be online bulletins. Visitors' slips will remain available. Basically, in the similar, the hymnals being removed. Did I skip one? No. This is similar to the hymnals being removed. This is also to eliminate the amount of contact. We considered having our bulletins in pews, having them dispersed out in pews instead of one centralized place, where people's thumbing through them and, grabbing several. But after talking with some, and again, this is, something I break from. I love the bulletins. Our bulletin editor, and that's just one of many hats that she wears, Teresa. She does an excellent job, but we resolved to have email bulletins only to help with cleanup. And so that we don't have to bulletins that may or may not have been touched already. We have no way of knowing. Again, we could leave them in the pews, but we know not everybody's going to take them. You might look at it for a minute, toss it to the side, and whatever you had on your hands, which you can't see, bacteria and viruses, will transfer the bulletin, and then we'd have to pick it up and, throw it in the garbage when we clean up afterwards. We just wanted to eliminate that altogether. Now, there is one exception. Still expect to have visitors and guests to join us for worship. We're praying for that. We're always expecting that. We're not going to turn anybody away at the door. And we are of separate visitor slips. I'm still kind of working on what that's going to look like. But we will have that available for guests and visitors to fill up to. And like I said, I've got to get with some, I've got to talk to Teresa a little bit. I think some of this is probably new to her. All right, what do we got? Number 6, I've got my list out of order here. Number 6, pews and off. And there will be areas of the church also that are unused that will be sectioned off as well. A church building, the way it is structured, it's made for us to be close together. This is not a, this is a sanctuary where we worship the Lord, and the pews are designed for several people, to sit there at one time, several families. For now, what we're going to do is probably either section off every other pew or at least stagger them, stagger the seating so that we're properly distanced from one another while we're sitting down. And so you will see some difference in the pews. We're not going to sit in every single seat. We're going to do something where we can try to implement that. Like I say, we may have to section off every other pew. That really wouldn't cost us a lot in seating here. And so we will be doing something like that. Like I say, it may be, we may stagger them, we may do a little bit of both. We do ask, though, that everybody not crowd a pew. This isn't fill a pew. We ask that everybody, maintain social distancing. Try to sit 6 feet apart. That's not that hard in these big pews. Families, one family fill up one whole pew. At the most, 2 small families per pew each. And, you all will use your wisdom on that. I understand completely. But we just want to let you know, some of you may not be able to seat. I know we get a little comfortable in some of our seats. I certainly, have places I like to sit here around the sanctuary. You all know a little different on Sunday morning for me as it is Sunday night as far as seating. But anyway, pews will be sectioned off. And again, areas that'll be unused will be totally blocked off. All the upstairs stuff, there's no reason for any of us to go up there, given that Sunday school will not be operational. The basement, will be blocked off. All the other stuff besides the bathrooms basically is going to be blocked off. We can't have people going down there, teaching services that we don't know about. We might go down there, to grab something during the week or whatever and not realize that, and then, just to cut down the risk. All right, what we had for number 7. Yes, I just elaborated on that. Unused areas of the church will be blocked off. This is another one a lot are probably not going to like. This is one that I really don't like for obvious reasons. But we are recommending that every person who comes to the Sunday morning gathering wear a mask. Again, I know masks are not 100% effective, but they reduce the risk by at least a little bit. And if that's what we have to do, the risk just a little bit for a little while, we don't have to do this forever, then I think we ought to do it. Most everybody that I talked to and got their input commending and strongly advising that we do wear a mask when we come to the Lord's house. Now, recommending that you wear it during the entire service, at least until you go outside. I envision us having lots of conversations after the morning, go outside and talk and whatnot. That's fine. We can be 6 feet apart. The thing is, what we're breathing out is just going, into the atmosphere. Well, here as far as the ceiling. And so it's just kind of circulating the more that we talk in here and whatnot. The masks kind of help to prevent that. We do encourage everybody, have one at home, medical grade, or one that you sewed yourself, even though they're kind of different in their effectiveness. If you have one at home, bring it. If you have one with you, bring it with you. And keep that as your mask. Bring it home, wash it during the week, be ready to wear it again that next Sunday. If you do not have, we will have some provided for you. That way, our lung vapors aren't lingering in the whole building during the whole time that we're sitting here and we're just constantly breathing. Okay? And that's another reason why we're going to try to keep the doors propped open, is so that can just ventilate right outside, okay? That's the most notable change, is that we won't start off with singing like we usually do. We're going to save it towards the end of the service. And I have to give to the pastor of Memorial Baptist Church, this is what they're kind of implementing out there, and I met with him and our director of missions. And so what we're probably going to do is something similar to what they're probably going to begin with, a time of meditation and prayer, reading some scripture and whatnot. I will preach as sort of the second element in the service, out of the way, and then we will worship the Lord in song. And, and there's something beautiful about that, where we kind of heard from the message by giving gratitude to the Lord with our voices. And I think you'll actually enjoy this change. But this is one other thing about the order service that's going to change is we will still have an offering. This is not something we are tacking on to the, we believe that when we give of what God's given us, when we give it back to Him, that is an act of worship. And so the offering will be a part of our service, but here's what's going to be different. We will not pass the plate whatsoever. It's a surface many people would be touching, and again, we want to try to reduce that. What we will do is by the doors, the offering pair or boxes will be there, one or the other, and you can drop your offering in there before you exit. We are against the idea of everybody coming forward and dropping their offerings in the plate for all to see. Giving is and so we want to make sure that we maintain that element. So as you exit the door, just very subtly, drop it in that offering box, and that will take care of that. So the offering will be different. The singing will be different as far as our service. Okay, got this one and I think one more. Number 10, we will dismiss carefully by pew. Have our pews marked off, maybe labeled, and we are going to dismiss people. Our ushers will probably do that. We will dismiss people by pew to over congregating in the foyer or over congregating by the entrances. Now again, it's fine if when you get outside, you want to talk to somebody. I'm sure there'll be a lot of that. But we don't want to do that in the foyer where it just builds like a cloud in that area. And so we'll be dismissed by pews when we leave our worship gathering. When you come in and seat yourself, that's of your own will, however you want to do it, maintain that social distancing. But when we leave, we don't want to all leave at the same time. So we will dismiss in a very careful, orderly fashion. Still going back there? Yeah, I know that connection's been terrible. Now here, this is one that I'm going to enjoy talking about and continue doing. Number 11, live streaming will continue indefinitely. So just because we're meeting in person on the 24th does not mean we will stop live streaming our services. We're going to keep that up. We know that there's still a lot of you that may be uncoming. That's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of you are, very high risk. Some of you are hindered for various reasons, just as at any other time. And so what we're going to do is continue the live streaming on Facebook as you see it now and streaming on YouTube. And we're doing that from here on out, okay? We will live stream our Wednesday night services. We haven't really reached a decision on that yet. Right now we're just doing that Sunday morning gathering. So we will do the live stream on Wednesday night. When we resume in person Wednesday night, I can't promise you there will be a live stream there because it's mainly discussion. When we meet in sort of a small group setting, it's very difficult to live stream. So anyway, now I should mention to you, there will be two minor changes to the Sunday morning live stream, okay? Number 1, the Sunday school hour will now be 30 a.m. This upcoming Sunday, we're still going to have it at 10, okay, as we always do. Sunday school hour at 10, morning worship at 11. But when we resume, we will have to have the Sunday school hour at 9:30. Here's the reason why. I know there is no way that I can Sunday school lesson beginning at 10 on the dot and have all of our equipment restarted and ready to go by 11 o'clock. So I'm going to actually pre-record a Sunday school lesson. I think that's what I'm probably going to do. And I'm going to play that live at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday morning for all of you to watch so that you can still participate in Sunday school. And even if I do a pre-recorded, I get lost in technical details here, but even if I do a pre-recorded video, I can still interact with you live on my phone. So if you have some comment you want to share about the Bible study, if you want to share a prayer request or some kind of update, I can still see it and one another in real time. And through that platform. So Sunday school hour, when we resume in-person services, will be at 9:30 a.m. to give Dakota and myself plenty of time to get all of our equipment ready to go by 11 o'clock. Here's the second change, and this really isn't that significant. We will go live probably around 11 o'clock, so that'll be about the same when we do our in-person services. What we'll probably do is just play hymns like we have been doing, and then Dakota will, transition the scenes, so watch the sermon at length, and then we'll probably cut it off after that to save us a little bit of space and upload time. So that will look a little bit different. The only reason I make mention of it is because what we've been doing is kind of doing a little countdown to, get everybody, to their seats to get ready for the preaching and whatnot. We won't be able to do that because there isn't really no way to act same time every time we have an in-person worship service. So 9:30 a.m. will be the new Sunday school hour time, starting when we resume back to in-person, and morning worship will look a little bit different as well. All right, and we do ask that you use wisdom and caution in coming. Again, if you're not ready, that's okay. Here's what I was trying to say. I kind of lost my point here. We, as of right now, do not have any way to test you for coronavirus. We don't even have any way, unless something changes, to check your temperature at the door, okay? If you're the slightest bit ill or sick, please stay home. Nobody's going to guilt trip you, for not coming. Stay home for your own safety and for the safety of everybody else here. That's just the sacrifice you may have to make. Again, all you got to do is jump on the internet. We will be broadcasts just as we always have, and you can join us just like that. I know it's not the same. It's not meant to be the same, but it's a little something. And it's, for those that have to stay home. So, again, use caution in coming. And I will say this, we're not going to have people fill out, forms and all of that, but you should be very keenly aware that you are coming at your own risk. I know most of us are just ready to risk it, back together in worship. Like myself, I don't care if I get it. I don't care what happens to me if I get it. I don't want anybody else to get it, And so you're always assuming risk when you come back into the in-person worship services. And you're responsible for your own self. You're responsible for your own safety. So much that we can do to try to prevent the spread of this thing. And again, none of us know how high the threat really is right now. Clay County has done an excellent job in quarantining people and putting safety measures in place. Of course, we all hate what this has done, any jobs and whatnot. But we're not even up to 50 cases, I don't think. And so, that's really good on Cal West to have such a small number of cases. And again, I don't know how high the risk is. That's the thing. We don't know. And so we want to try to take measures as we possibly can. Again, we simply, as of right now, don't have all the features and equipment to be able to test you if you whatever. And so we're going to trust that you use your own wisdom in that regard. And again, I mentioned, if you're not ready to come back, if are still a little bit afraid of this, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. In fact, I would hate for you to be here, be trembling, the whole time if it really is that bothersome for you. That would totally distract you from the message and the songs, and it would just make you miserable. So, not ready to come yet. Give it a little bit more time, okay? Let us know if you need